The sun rises early through the tall windows of the courthouse and reaches across polished wooden floors. The air is thick, almost tangible, with expectation, tension, and unspoken words. First in is Kody Brown, his steps measured, shoulders stiff, and his eyes scanning the room as if seeking reassurance in the sterile environment. The sisters follow quietly behind him: Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Meri. Each woman brings her own history of love, hurt, and betrayal, and today, all is laid bare. Robyn's hands fidget at the edge of her sleeve, a slight tremor revealing a veiled anxiety beneath her well-maintained composure. Her eyes flick to Kody, and then to the other sisters, as if searching for some sign they are prepared for what's next. Christine, on the contrary, sits stiffly, her jaw tight, posture perfect, as if she will launch herself at any hint of deception. Her eyes burn with an inner fire, a quiet warning that she won't be ignored or dismissed. Janelle's normally composed countenance is cracked by the weight of the moment, her knuckles white on her purse. Meri's face is the most unreadable, stoic, almost serene, but a storm is hidden just below her calm exterior. The doors to the courtroom open, and in comes the judge, his presence silently commanding immediate silence. The gavel strikes the bench, a sharp, final sound, and the proceedings begin. Kody swallows hard, the weight of every decision he has ever made, every promise he has ever broken weighing upon him. The eyes of the sisters center on him, each one a silent accusation, a mirror reflecting years of tension, love, and betrayal. The case is formally called, and the allegations are laid bare. Whispers of financial misconduct, emotional manipulation, and broken promises that have haunted the family for months are now on the record. Robyn steps forward first, her voice trembling but steady through the charged silence. "I trusted him," she says. "I trusted all of you to see the truth. But trust was never enough." Her hands grip the railing as if holding onto her very sense of self, and there's a tremor in her voice that betrays both fear and defiance. Christine rises next, her movement precise, deliberate, every gesture controlled. "Truth is subjective in this family," she says, leaning slightly forward, eyes ablaze with intensity. "But I have evidence of manipulation and lies, and I will not be silenced anymore." The room reacts, a mix of shock, anticipation, and unspoken judgment rippling across the audience. Kody feels the sting of every word. He wants to respond, to defend himself, but the sisters' momentum is like a wave, unstoppable, unforgiving. Janelle speaks next, her voice softer, tinged with vulnerability. She recounts the emotional toll of living in a house divided, nights spent questioning her own worth, and the suffocating weight of the family's complicated dynamics. Her story paints a vivid picture of a woman torn between love, fear, and loyalty. Meri finally rises. Her presence is quiet yet commanding. Her voice cuts through the murmurs like a knife. "We all know what we have allowed," she says, eyes cast down. "But some things cannot be forgiven." "I never wanted any of this to happen," he admits, his eyes scanning each sister, hoping for understanding, for some form of leniency. "I see now that love is complicated, family is complicated, and the truth hurts us all." There's a pause, heavy, almost suffocating, as the courtroom hangs on his every word. The air thickens as lawyers interject, presenting evidence, each piece a strike against or for Kody, depending on perspective. There are documents of financial transactions, private letters revealing hidden resentments, and testimony to the core of the family's fragile unity. Emotions run high, with tears welling up, muffled sobs, and sharp arguments reverberating from the wooden panels, bouncing back with increased intensity. The audience can feel the emotional gravity. Every sigh, every glance carries with it the weight of years of secrets and suppressed anger. Robyn reaches into her bag and pulls out a folded letter, its contents potentially explosive. Christine gasps audibly, her face paling at the implication. Kody's eyes widen as Robyn slowly unfolds the letter, reading aloud its contents. The courtroom is silent, anticipation thick enough to taste, as words designed to wound carefully hang in the air. With each revelation, the family seems further apart, yet somehow closer, bound by the unavoidable shared history. Not one to be outdone, Christine quickly points out the inconsistencies in the letter, her voice sharp, cutting, and precise. "This doesn't prove what you think it proves," she insists, leaning forward. The sisters argue, voices raised, desperation, frustration, and anger filling the room. Kody sits frozen, feeling the full impact of decades of complicated relationships and mismanaged trust. The judge, sensing it's time to take control, calls a brief recess. The family files out, moving slowly, brains racing, hearts heavy. Outside the courtroom, the sunlight seems bright, almost cruelly cheerful compared to the storm inside. Robyn says something in a hushed tone to Kody, a mix of regret and warning. Christine's gaze flickers with a challenge, while Janelle and Meri exchange tense, loaded glances, unspoken accusations hanging between them. Even in the hallway, the drama continues. The echoes of words spoken still hang in the air. The staff, the audience, the media, all seem to hold their collective breaths, knowing that the most explosive revelations are yet to come. Words are carefully spoken with meaning, as every member of the family weighs what their next move will be. Alliances will continue to shift and form, secrets being reassessed, and every action seems pregnant with consequence. The audience is left on the edge as the session comes to an end, waiting for the next round, where the drama escalates, the tears and shouting giving way to even more shocking revelations. The storm has only just begun, and no one, not even Kody, knows in which direction it will take them. The courtroom doors swing open after the brief recess, and the tension is almost unbearable. The air feels heavier somehow, as if the room itself has absorbed the storm of emotions from session 1. Kody sits at the defendant's table, hands clasped tightly, knuckles white. Each of the sisters takes up a seat with the same measured precision, her gaze pinned on him, watching for any sign of weakness, any hesitation that betrays his true feelings. Robyn's voice is barely above a whisper, speaking with her attorney, while her fingers slightly quiver. She's replaying every word from that morning, every revelation, every accusation, wondering if there's more she should have said. Christine, ever sharp and always full of fire, leans forward with calculated intensity, as if daring Kody to contradict her. There's a dangerous mix of resentment and determination in her eyes, a silent message that she'll stop at nothing until the truth is revealed. Janelle shifts slightly, exhaling slowly as she tries to steady herself. She's walking a tightrope between love and disillusionment, and every new detail pushes her closer to tipping over the edge. Meri remains poised, but there's tension in her jaw, a quiet storm that's going to break. The judge bangs his gavel, calling the session back to order, and the room falls silent again. The tension becomes palpable, a living thing pressing down on everyone in the room. Kody gets up, trying to speak to the court once more, but this time his tone is cautious, measured, almost pleading. "I understand the gravity of what's been presented today," he says, eyes moving from one sister to the next. But I assure you, there are circumstances you may not fully understand. His voice cracks slightly, betraying the inner turmoil he's tried to hide. Christine cuts in right away. Her voice is sharp and cuts through the fragile calm. Circumstances? Kody, how many times are we going to have to hear that excuse? She asks, flashing her eyes in anger. We trusted you, and yet the truth keeps slipping further from us. How can you expect us to believe anything now? With every word, the courtroom shifts, the sisters leaning in, the audience holding its collective breath. Robyn gets up next, and her voice is trembling, but determined. This isn't about mistakes anymore, she says. It's about betrayal. And the longer we allow it to go unchallenged, the more damage it causes, emotionally, mentally, and even legally. Her eyes lock with Kody's, a mixture of hurt and resolve reflected in them. Kody swallows, the weight of decades of family dynamics pressing on him, and he knows that every word he says next could make or break him in the eyes of not just the court, but the women he loves. A succession of documents is presented, each one more incriminating than the last. Bank statements, personal letters, and confidential family messages are laid bare, exposing inconsistencies, contradictions, and hidden motives. Kody's eyes flicker over each page, and his usual calm demeanor begins to crack under the pressure. The sisters react differently. Christine's jaw sets. Robyn bites her lip to suppress an outburst. Janelle's hands shake, and Meri's calm expression masks the turmoil beneath. That is when the turning point arises. A witness is called, someone from the outside of the immediate family, but one who is very familiar with the dynamics of the household. A former friend of the family. Someone who has witnessed the lies and cover-ups. The room falls silent when the witness begins to recount events that paint a picture much more complex and emotional than anything they prepared themselves for. His testimony exposes not just Kody's missteps, but the tensions between the sisters that have never been spoken. The resentments buried for years, and the results of choosing silence instead of truth. Christine leans forward, her eyes narrowing as she listens intently. I told you, she mutters under her breath, practically hissing, as if at Kody and the others. Robyn looks uncomfortable, the details hitting closer to home than she expected. Janelle's hand rises to her chest, and her eyes widen as the words strike a chord with this fear she has been trying to suppress all this time. Meri, for the first time, seems to lose her calm exterior. A slight tremble in her voice betrays the effect of what she's hearing. Kody is visibly shaken. Every revelation sounds like a direct hit against his well-kept persona, and the room closes in around him. The judge observes closely, catching every emotional shift, the furtive glances, the silent accusations passing between the sisters. Tension fills the air, alive and palpable, wrapping itself around the room like some type of unyielding tempest. It is Robyn who finally breaks the fragile silence. She pulls out copies of various emails she had kept for months, showing secret communications, indicating hidden alliances, perhaps betrayals, that no one else in the family knew existed. Upon hearing the documents read out loud, the courtroom gasped. Each line puts further tension in the air, and the reactions of the sister wives range from shock to disbelieving. Christine's face pales, her hands clinging to the railing as she works through the implications. Janelle's eyes fill with tears, her breathing shallow. Meri's jaw tightens, her body stiffening as she absorbs the revelation. Kody attempts to respond, but the words catch in his throat. The witness statements, the letters, the emails, they all converge in a picture of a family entangled with secrets, betrayals, and half-truths. His voice, when it finally emerges, is low and hesitant. I didn't expect this to surface, he admits. I thought I could handle it. But I see now that the truth has a way of finding its own path. His words hang heavy in the air, fraught with meaning, as the sisters exchange loaded glances. The weight of emotion in the courtroom starts to bear down. Robyn slumps slightly into her shoulders, the tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. Christine's face sets with a determined underjaw, all lines hard and unyielding. Janelle wipes her eyes furtively, her composure wobbling as she holds onto emotional aftershock. Meri finally exhales, the tension in her body easing just that little, though the storm inside her has by no means passed. The lawyers continue with evidence, each piece selected carefully for its shock value, to induce confessions, or for its incongruity. The room is electric, a heady cocktail of fear and anger and anticipation. Every glance now, every gesture, every pause has meaning. The sisters are beyond simple testimony. They are confronting a lifetime of secrets. And the courtroom has become a stage for a drama that is both intensely personal and publicly explosive. Feeling backed into a corner, Kody tries an impassioned plea to his sisters. I never meant to hurt any of you, he says, his voice quivering. I thought I was doing what was best for the family. I see now that I failed, and I am truly sorry. His eyes sweep across each sister in search of signs of forgiveness. But reactions range from skeptical to hesitant to openly hostile. Christine speaks first, her voice like cut glass. Sorry isn't enough. In firm tones, she declares, we've been patient, we've been silent, and yet nothing changes. How do you expect us to trust you again? The words reverberate in the room, striking Kody with the full force of the emotional truth. Robyn chimes in, her voice softer, but no less resolute. We're all hurting, she says, eyeing each sister in turn. But the real question is, can we survive this? Can we rebuild trust when so much has been broken? Janelle's eyes fill with tears, and she nods slightly, the weight of Robyn's words sinking in. Meri's gaze stays distant, but tension in her body speaks to a mind alert, listening and calculating her next step. As the gavel strikes once again for another recess, the family files out slowly, weighted with thought and emotion. Kody's face is pale, etched with worry. Robyn says something that is lost in the hallway noise. Christine shoots a glance that promises more confrontation. Janelle wipes her tears quietly, and Meri walks stoically, ready for whatever comes next. The sun outside is blinding, even verging on mocking, in its cheeriness compared to the storm that rages within these courthouse walls. Reporters murmur to one another, cameras click on, and the audience outside can tell the real drama has only just begun. Alliances are shifting, secrets are surfacing, and the roller coaster of emotions that is the Brown family continues unabated. The session ends in a collective sense of dread and anticipation. Everybody knows that next time will be even more explosive, where emotions are pushed to the limit, hidden truths are exposed, and relationships are tested like never before. This storm has only grown stronger, and there is no telling how it will end. The courtroom doors open once more, the echo of the gavel from the previous session still lingering like a ghost over everyone present. First to enter is Kody Brown, his shoulders tense, his eyes scanning the room in a mixture of anticipation and fear. Behind him, the sisters follow. each bearing the weight of the morning's revelations and the storm that has only grown louder with every hour passing. Robyn walks with her head bowed slightly, careful to mask the anxiety. Christine walks forward, controlled fire in every deliberate step and charged motion, while Janelle takes her seat cautiously, shaking her hands slightly. As always, Meri presents a calm exterior, but the tension in her jaw indicates a different story altogether. The judge calls the court to order, and silence falls like an iron curtain over the room. The weight of anticipation is almost suffocating, with the audience so clearly feeling the weight of tension. Kody rises, trying to collect his wits, but the tremble in his voice gives him away. "I understand the gravity of today's session," he starts off, looking at each of the sisters, "and I hope we can move forward with honesty and clarity." Christine cuts in straight away, sharp as a knife. "Honesty? Kody, after everything, what does honesty even mean to you?" A flash of her eyes cuts through the fragile calm Kody attempts to display. "We've been patient, we've been silent, but silence doesn't erase the pain or the deception." The sisters nod subtly, each carrying her simmering resentment. The emotional weight in the room is almost unbearable. Robyn rises next, her voice shaking but resolute. "This isn't about anger anymore," she says, clutching the railing. "It's about truth, and the truth, however painful it may be, needs to be spoken. We can't move forward until everything that's kept in the dark, every betrayal, comes to light." Her eyes lock on Kody's, a swirl of hurt, frustration, and quiet resolve. Kody swallows, knowing every word he utters next will either close the gap widening between him and the sisters, or push it irreconcilably further. New documents are produced by the lawyers, each more explosive than the last. There are letters, emails, and photos, some of which are years old, revealing layer after layer of deception and hidden alliances within the family. Kody's hands shake slightly as he turns the pages, realizing the extent of the exposure. The reactions of the sisters are varied. Christine's jaw is set, her face pale with pent-up fury. Robyn bites her lip, trying to stop herself from crying out, while Janelle's eyes widen in shock as she works through the depth of betrayal. And Meri, seemingly composed, masks the tide of emotion rising inside of her. Then comes the shocking moment that sends shockwaves through the courtroom. A surprise witness is called, a longtime family friend who has observed the family dynamics from the outside. The witness starts to reveal conversations and events nobody thought they would ever see in public. Each detail added fuel to the fire. Hidden conflicts, secret arguments, and moments of manipulation that the sisters had suspected but never confirmed. With each word spoken, the courtroom gasps at revelations of connections and betrayals that finally cut into the core of the fragile structure of the family. Christine leans forward, her eyes narrowing as her mind races, putting the implications together. "I knew it," she mutters to herself, in that mix of vindication and anger. Robyn shifts uncomfortably. The words hit closer to home than she'd thought they would. Janelle puts a hand to her chest, the emotional impact finally settling upon her as her breathing becomes shallower. Meri's jaw tightens. Her calm exterior, at last, is beginning to fracture, revealing a woman in the throes of shock and indignation. Kody stands up, attempting to speak to the courtroom, though the words falter on his lips. He feels the weight of the evidence, the testimony, and the judgment of the sisters. His voice finally emerges, low and hesitant. I thought I could handle the challenges of this family," he admits. "But I see now that the truth has a life of its own, and it has caught up with me." His words hang in the air, thick with remorse and fear, as the sisters exchange subtle glances, each processing the unfolding chaos differently. Robyn steps forward, producing a folder of well-preserved messages, letters, and audio recordings disclosing a secret conversation between Kody and Christine some months earlier. The contents hint at unspoken agreements, manipulations, and a plan that had been carefully hidden from the rest of the family. The courtroom reacts immediately. Gasps, murmurs, and wide-eyed stares ripple through the room. Christine pales, her face blanching as the letters are read aloud. Kody's hands shake, the tension almost physically visible in his posture. Christine finally speaks, her voice tight with controlled fury. "You knew this," she says, pointing at Kody, "and yet you never told us. How many times have we been blindsided by your decisions?" Robyn watches silently, though her eyes glimmer with a mixture of vindication and pity. Janelle's breath catches in her throat, and Meri's tight-lipped expression betrays her inner turmoil. The judge calls the courtroom to order, but the emotional momentum is unstoppable. Lawyers continue to present evidence, and witnesses give testimony that adds layers of complexity to the unfolding drama. Kody struggles to defend himself, knowing full well that every word, every gesture may be interpreted as either sincere or deceitful. The sisters never take their eyes off him, sharp, accusatory, and relentless. Then, without warning, the courtroom doors burst open, and a surprise witness is brought in, a former employee of the Brown household, someone who has witnessed the family's private life in ways even the sisters have not. The witness starts recounting incidents of manipulation, favoritism, hidden alliances. Their testimony exposes not just Kody's mistakes, but also subtle conflicts among the sisters that had been brewing for years. Each new revelation sends shockwaves around the room, and the emotional intensity ramps up. Christine's face tightens, her eyes flashing incredulous and angry. Robyn bites her lip, trying to compose herself, while Janelle's hands shake with the weight of what this means. Meri's exterior remains composed, though inside, her jaw clenches, residual tension ratcheting upward. Kody's shoulders slump, the cumulative weight of years of secrets, buried and unsaid truths, finally weighing down with full force. Robyn speaks to the court for the first time, her voice stable regardless of the emotional turmoil. "We can't turn a blind eye anymore to the patterns, the lies, and the betrayal," she says. "This isn't about individual mistakes. This is accountability, honesty, and the acceptance of consequences for our actions." The sisters share a wordless look with each other as a mutual agreement. The road to emotional resolution will hurt, but is needed. Kody gets up again, trying to make his emotional plea. "I never meant for any of this to happen," he says in a low, quivering voice. "I thought I was protecting the family, making good choices for all of us. And I realize now how my actions have injured those I care about most." His eyes pace across the sisters, pleading for forgiveness, comprehension, or at least recognition. But this elicits mixed reactions. Christine's glare cuts through him. Robyn's face is an enigma. Janelle blinks away her tears, and Meri's stern mask breaks, revealing undercurrents of hurt. The moment of truth leads to high emotional intensity. Christine and Robyn exchange sharp words that escalate into loud tones, each calling the other out for participation in some sort of hidden schemes and unspoken betrayals. Janelle tries to intervene, which pulls her into the conflict, her voice breaking with frustration and fear. Meri stands quiet, watching and weighing every word, calculating the consequences of stepping in. Kody finds himself caught in the middle, trying to weather the tempest he helped create. The judge calls for another recess, but the tension remains alive. Outside the courtroom, whispers are exchanged among the audience and media. Cameras capture every possible glance. The family comes out under the scorching sun, weighed down by the seriousness of what has transpired. The sisters walk with measured steps, lost in their thoughts, considering the next move to make in a drama that seems to be far from over. The courtroom is packed, the atmosphere almost suffocating. Previous sessions have left everyone on edge. Kody Brown is sitting at the defendant's table, his hands folded tightly, his knuckles white, his face a mask of anxiety and resolve. The sisters, Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Meri, sit down, awaiting battle. Every look in another's direction is weighted, every sigh charged with emotion. Anticipation hangs in the air. It's as though the very walls are holding their breath. The judge enters, and silence falls immediately. The gavel strikes sharp and commanding, and the session begins. Kody rises first and tries to regain composure. "I know of the gravity of the charges against me," he says, in a low, careful tone, "and I am ready to accept my punishment. I pray we can find some avenue to reconciliation, though the road is hard." His gaze sweeps across the sisters, each woman reflecting a different facet of the emotional storm that had been brewing over the years. Christine cuts through the silence with a sharp edge. "Understanding, Kody, how can there be understanding after all that has been kept from us? After years of manipulation and deception?" Her eyes are ablaze with anger, betrayal, and resolve. Robyn looks down and bites her lip, her hands quivering slightly. Janelle's eyes grow wide, her chest taut with anxiety, while Meri appears composed on the outside, except for the tension in her jaw and hands, which reveals turmoil within. The attorneys start to reveal the next wave of evidence, photos, documents, and letters, showing that this web of deception was more complexly intertwined than had been revealed. Kody's hands slightly tremble with each page as he realizes the extent of the exposure. Each sister reacts differently. Christine's eyes become hard, Robyn's well with hurt and caution. Janelle's breath catches in her throat, and Meri's calm exterior only barely masks the Category 5 hurricane raging inside. Then, there is that moment that electrifies the room. The surprise witness, a former family aide who has seen Kody's private decisions and the sisters' hidden conversations, begins to recount events with a quiet, piercing precision. He exposes long-held secrets, unspoken alliances, and betrayals that have quietly shaped the family dynamic for years. Every new revelation lands like a punch, with gasps escaping the courtroom, murmurs rippling through, and tension spiking to nearly unbearable levels. Christine leans forward, her eyes narrowing as she absorbs the witness's testimony. "I knew there was more," she says under her breath, vindication and outrage mingling in her tone. With each new revelation, the twist in Robyn's stomach hurts all the more. Janelle pressed a hand against her chest, her breathing shallow. Words seemed to strike a deep chord. Meri shows no emotion, but the tension in her posture and a barely perceptible clench of her jaw suggests that her internal shock is great. Robyn is called to present new evidence, which includes carefully preserved emails, letters, and recordings. These expose clandestine talks between Kody and Christine many months earlier, discussions of family decisions, financial manipulations, and secret agreements known to nobody else. The courtroom reacts immediately. Gasps are heard. Murmurs arise. Christine visibly goes white, her face blanched with shock. Kody's hands shake, his veneer of confidence failing under the weight of this exposure. Christine, now unable to restrain her emotions, leans sharply forward. "How could you hide this?" she demands, pointing at Kody. "Do you think we are blind to your actions?" Robyn watches, a faint glimmer of vindication in her eyes. Janelle suppresses a sob and shakes her hands, while Meri's calm exterior starts to crack open, showing a silent struggle with betrayal, hurt, and anger. The judge calls for order, but the momentum of the courtroom is unstoppable. Lawyers continue presenting evidence. Witnesses recount more subtle but damning incidents, and emotions for the sisters escalate with every passing moment. Kody tries to defend himself, but the words stumble, caught between regret, confusion, and the realization of how deep the betrayal runs. The sisters never take their gazes off him, sharp and accusing, each one reading Kody like an open book. Then a new letter shows up, found in an envelope overlooked in sessions before. The content is explosive, detailing unspoken arrangements and secret favoritism, along with decisions that have alienated and hurt the sisters in ways they hadn't realized. Robyn gasps, her hand flying to her mouth, while Christine's face whitens with fury. Janelle presses her palms against the bench, trembling as the weight of the revelation sinks in. Even Meri, who had remained calm until now, lets a small, tight exhale escape, a sign that the emotional gravity of this moment is impossible to ignore. Kody rises, his voice low and breaking, shaking slightly as he talks. "I never meant to bring so much pain," he says. "I felt like I was making decisions for all. But now I realize my choices have divided the family. I'm sorry." His eyes travel to the sisters, imploring for forgiveness, comprehension, or even acceptance. But the reactions are varied. Christine's glare is incessant. Robyn's eyes sparkle with guarded hurt. Janelle blinks her tears away. And Meri's stoic mask finally shows slight fissures of vulnerability. The courthouse is tense, emotions are running high as the sisters start confronting each other. Christine and Robyn exchange harsh words, accusations flying in a flurry of anger, frustration, and pain. "You knew about this, didn't you?" Christine demands, her voice rising. Robyn responds with a trembling, yet firm voice. "I didn't know the full extent, Christine. I didn't anticipate this either." Janelle tries to mediate, her voice shaking. "We need to calm down before we destroy what little trust is left." Meri looks on silently, her gaze calculating and intense, waiting for the moment to act. The lawyers introduce the final piece of evidence for the session, a hidden audio recording capturing private conversations between Kody and one of the sisters, discussing family decisions without the others knowing. The courtroom falls silent, and the weight of it all settles upon all. Gasps echo, heads turn, and the emotional stakes skyrocket. Kody's face whitens, his composure on the edge of collapse. Christine leans forward, eyes wide with shock and fury. Robyn bites her lip as tears well up. Janelle presses her hand against her chest, her breathing shallow. Meri exhales softly, which belies the extreme tension within. The judge calls for another recess, sensing the emotional intensity threatening to spill over. The family files out slowly, each step heavy with thought and emotion. Kody's shoulders slump, the weight of the revelations pressing down on him. Robyn mutters softly to herself, her tone regretful and uncertain. Christine shoots a glare that promises further confrontation. Janelle brushes away her tears furtively, and Meri walks resolutely, ready for what is yet to come. Outside, in the hallways, sunlight is everywhere, blinding compared to the storm of emotion in the courtroom. Reporters murmur, cameras flash, and the audience can almost feel the tension that comes from the Brown family. Alliances are shifting, secrets are coming to light, and the emotional roller coaster continues, carrying all people along with it. The courtroom is a pressure cooker. Every heartbeat, every whisper, every movement reverberates with tension. Kody Brown sits ramrod straight at the defendant's table, his hands clasped tightly, knuckles white, staring straight ahead. The sisters, Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Meri, enter in a near-perfect line, their eyes cold, sharp, and unyielding. Today is different. Those previous sessions have peeled away every layer of secrecy until now. The raw, unfiltered emotion was finally ready to explode. The judge enters, and silence falls over the room like a heavy blanket. The gavel strikes, and proceedings begin. Kody rises. His voice is measured, but his every word is laced with anxiety. "I understand the accusations and the pain they have caused," he begins. "I never wanted any of this to happen, but I am ready to face the consequences of my actions." His eyes scan through the sisters for some glimpse of understanding. Christine responds first, her voice razor-sharp, cutting through the moment's tension as if through glass. "Consequences. Kody, do you even understand how deeply we feel betrayed?" She leans forward, eyes ablaze with every word, oozing frustration and hurt. "Years of lies, manipulation, and secrets. And you stand there to talk of consequences?" Robyn fidgets uncomfortably, biting back tears. Janelle's hands shake as she presses them onto the railing, while Meri remains poised, but a clench in the jaw and the subtle tension across the shoulders reveals the turmoil inside her. The lawyers introduce the next wave of evidence, and the room responds immediately. Pictures, letters, recordings, and documents emerge, one after another, peeling layer upon layer of deceit. Kody shakes slightly, realizing the cumulative weight of the exposure is far beyond his expectations. Each sister reacts differently. Christine's eyes narrow. Robyn glimmers with hurt and cautious vindication. Janelle's chest tightens with anxiety, as Meri's composed exterior barely hides the tumult inside. Then comes that moment which changes everything. A long-concealed diary is brought into view, its pages chronicling private thoughts, secret frustrations, and raw emotions from months, perhaps years, ago. The courtroom collectively holds its breath as passages are read aloud. Christine pales. Robyn blinks rapidly. Janelle digs her fingers into the edge of her chair. Meri tightens her jaw as the words reverberate in the air. All of the diary entries strongly show subtle betrayals, private conflicts, and suppressed grievances that assault fragile trust like hammer blows. Next up is Robyn, who steps forward with shaking hands, but a firm and steady voice, to present carefully kept emails and recordings of Kody and Christine, exposing furtive strategies, secreted conversations, and covert manipulations. Onlookers gasp, murmurs run through the crowded room, and eyes widen in amazement. Christine's face sets hard in shock and anger, while Kody's hands now visibly shake. Janelle presses her hand over her heart, her breathing shallow. Meri, who has remained calm up until this point, exhales an almost indecipherable whisper with her internal plight. The judge asks for order, but it is too late. The courtroom has gathered momentum. The lawyers keep on presenting their evidence, witnesses narrating more subtle yet damning incidents, and the sisters' emotions spiral upward with each passing minute. Kody tries to answer, but gets the words tangled between regret, confusion, and dread of a heavier backlash. The sisters stare at him, accusingly, unyielding and piercing. Christine breaks the silence finally. "We were blind, Kody," she says, her voice breaking with anger and pain. "We trusted you. We loved you. And now, every secret, every lie has come tumbling down around us. Do you have any idea what you've done to this family?" Robyn watches, vindication and sorrow reflected in her eyes. Janelle's hands shake as she tightens her grip on the railing, her tears threatening to fall, and Meri's reserved exterior finally cracks, her subtle signs of vulnerability and pain showing through. A surprise witness, a former family friend who had been close to the inner workings of the Brown household, takes the stand. Their testimony is specific, cutting, and brutally honest, recounting private conversations, subtle manipulations, and secret alliances that expose not just Kody's failings, but fractures among the sisters that had simmered for years. The testimony electrifies the courtroom. The tension spikes and the emotions spill over. Christine's eyes, in utter and complete disbelief, blaze as she leans forward. Robyn looks down, her hands clasped in her lap, the weight of the words hitting her hard. Janelle catches her breath in her throat, and the storm inside Meri breaks, threatening to spill over while her jaw tightens. Kody slumps forward, his shoulders weighted down by decades of hidden truths that bear down on him like an unyielding force. Finally, Robyn speaks to the court in a firm voice, though an emotional storm rages inside her. "We can no longer afford to look the other way, as though these patterns, these lies, these betrayals don't exist," she says. "We must confront the truth, though painful, if ever we are to hold on to anything resembling this family." The sisters exchange tense, silent glances, recognizing the truth of her words and the emotional journey ahead. Kody stands again, his voice low and shaking. "I never wanted this much pain," he says. "I thought I was making decisions for the good of the family. But I realize now that my decisions have broken trust and love. I am sorry." His eyes scan the sisters, waiting for confirmation or forgiveness. But their responses fall flat. Christine glares, unyielding. Robyn seems guarded. Janelle blinks her tears away, and Meri's stoic veneer finally starts to crack, showing subtle breaks in her tough exterior. The courtroom erupts, with the final evidence to be shown of the session. A recording of private conversations between Kody and one of the sisters over family decisions, exclusions, and secret deals. The effect is instantaneous. The room erupts in gasps, murmurs, and boiling emotions. Kody's face whitens as his composure threatens to buckle. Christine's eyes widen in shock. Robyn bites her lip to hold back a sob. Janelle puts her hands to her face, and Meri exhales, a thin sigh escaping the pressure cooker of emotion inside her. Emotions spiral out of control as the sisters confront each other, accusations flying. Christine points accusingly at Robyn. "You knew about this, didn't you?" Robyn responds, voice trembling but resolute. "I didn't know the full extent. I didn't anticipate this either." Janelle tries to intervene, her voice shaking. "We need to calm down before we destroy what's left of our trust." Meri says nothing, just observes, and waits for a strategic moment at which she can contribute. The judge calls for a recess, and the family files out slowly. The weight of the session presses down on every step. Kody's shoulders slump, the emotional toll almost palpable. Robyn whispers to herself, with both regret and determination in her voice. Christine's glare promises further confrontations. Janelle wipes away tears discreetly, and Meri walks with steely determination. ready for whatever comes next. Outside, the sun is stark and harsh, very much contrasting the storm of emotions inside. Reporters murmur, cameras flash, and the tension radiates from the Brown family to the audience. Alliances continue to shift, with secrets exposed, and the emotional roller coaster presses on at high speed.